Your doctor probably never told you this. There is a window, a specific window of time, where the damage hasn't happened yet, where the plaques haven't fully formed, where the neurons are still firing. And inside that window, science has now confirmed you can cut your risk of dementia nearly in half. Not with a pill, not with a surgery, not with anything that costs you a fortune. But here's the terrifying part. Most people don't even know this window exists. And by the time they find out, it's already closing. I'm going to show you exactly what works, what the research actually says, and what you should start doing this week, not next year, not after your next checkup, this week. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share in the next few minutes could be the most important thing you hear all year. Let's start with the one thing nobody wants to say out loud. Dementia doesn't begin in your 70s. It doesn't begin in your 60s. Research from The Lancet Commission, one of the most respected medical journals on the planet, found that the brain changes associated with dementia begin 20 to 30 years before symptoms appear. 20 to 30 years. That means if you're 65 right now, the seeds of cognitive decline may have been planted when you were in your 40s. But here's what that also means. And if you act now, you are not too late. You are still inside the window. And the Lancet Commission didn't just study the problem. They identified the specific, modifiable risk factors, the ones you can actually change, that together account for nearly 45% of all dementia cases worldwide. 45%, that's almost half, preventable, changeable, in your hands. So let's go through what actually works. Number 1, the sleep secret. They're not talking about. You've heard sleep is important, but do you know why it's critical for your brain specifically? Here's what's happening inside your skull right now while you're awake. Waste is building up. Toxic proteins, including amyloid beta, the same protein found in Alzheimer's patients, are accumulating between your neurons. Your brain has a cleaning system. It's called the glymphatic system, and it only activates fully during deep sleep. When you sleep, your brain cells actually shrink by up to 60%, creating channels that allow cerebrospinal fluid to flush out those toxic proteins. When you consistently sleep less than 6 hours a night, that system doesn't run its full cycle. The waste stays, and over years and decades it accumulates. A study published in Nature Communications found that people who slept 6 hours or less at age 50 and 60 had a 30% higher risk of developing dementia compared to those who slept 7 hours. 7 hours, that's the number. Not 8, not 9. 7 is the floor. Fix your sleep. Protect your brain. Number 2, the exercise truth that changes everything. Here's what most people get wrong about exercise and brain health. They think it's about cardio. Just get your heart rate up. Walk 30 minutes, done. That's incomplete. Yes, aerobic exercise matters enormously. It increases blood flow to the brain, stimulates the growth of new neurons in the hippocampus. That's your memory center, and has been shown to literally increase brain volume in seniors. But the real breakthrough in recent research is about resistance training. Lifting weights, resistance bands, body weight exercises, and studies now show that strength training releases a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Scientists call it miracle grow for the brain. A landmark study out of the University of British Columbia found that older adults who did resistance training twice a week showed significantly better memory and cognitive function compared to those who only stretched twice a week. You don't need a gym membership. You need a resistance band and a chair. The combination, aerobic plus resistance, is where the real protection lives. Aim for 150 minutes of moderate movement per week and add 2 strength sessions. That's it. Number 3, what you eat is building or destroying your brain. Your brain is 60% fat. It runs on glucose. And every single thing you eat either feeds it or fights it. The Mind diet, a hybrid of the Mediterranean, and DASH diets, which was specifically designed for brain protection. A study published in the journal Alzheimer's and Dementia found that people who closely followed the Mind diet had the cognitive function of someone 7.5 years younger than those who didn't. 7.5 years younger. The core of it is straightforward. Leafy greens every single day, spinach, kale, arugula, berries at least twice a week, blueberries especially, which contain flavonoids that directly reduce brain inflammation. Nuts, olive oil, fish, whole grains. What to cut? Ultra-processed foods, fried foods, red meat more than a few times a week, and this one is hard for some people. Margarine and butter, substitutes loaded with trans fats. The inflammation those foods create doesn't stay in your gut. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, and a chronically inflamed brain is a brain that ages faster. Number 4, the social connection nobody takes seriously. I want you to think about someone you know who became isolated. Maybe they lost a spouse. Maybe their kids moved away. Maybe they just withdrew. Did their health decline faster than you expected? You probably chalked it up to grief or aging. But research tells a different story. Social isolation is now classified by the CDC as a serious public health risk. For the brain specifically, chronic loneliness has been shown to raise cortisol levels persistently, and cortisol, the stress hormone, is directly neurotoxic. It physically damages the hippocampus over time. A study from Harvard, one of the longest-running studies on adult life, found that people with strong social connections in their 50s had sharper memories in their 80s. Not richer people, not thinner people, not people on the best supplements, people with relationships. Phone calls count. Church groups count. A walking buddy counts. Weekly dinners count. Connection is not optional for your brain. It is biological medicine. Number 5, hearing loss, the hidden accelerator. This one surprises most people, but it is one of the strongest predictors of early cognitive decline that we know of. When you lose hearing and don't treat it, your brain begins to receive less stimulation. The auditory cortex starts to shrink. Your brain works harder just to process basic conversations. Cognitive load that was never meant to be spent on simple listening. Johns Hopkins researchers followed over 600 adults and found that those with untreated hearing loss develop dementia at significantly higher rates, up to 5 times higher for those with severe hearing loss. 5 times. If you or someone you love has been avoiding the audiologist, that appointment matters more than almost any other health visit you'll make this year. Modern hearing aids are discreet, effective, and covered under many insurance plans. Get tested. Number 6, blood pressure, blood sugar, and what's happening in your blood vessels. Your brain consumes 20% of your body's blood supply. It needs constant clean circulation, uncontrolled. High blood pressure, especially in midlife, is one of the single largest modifiable risk factors for dementia. It damages small blood vessels in the brain, causing what researchers call silent strokes. Tiny injuries that accumulate invisibly until cognitive function drops noticeably. High blood sugar does something similar, even without a diabetes diagnosis. Chronically elevated glucose triggers inflammation, damages neurons, and has led some researchers to informally call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. Know your numbers. Systolic blood pressure under 130, fasting, blood sugar under 100 if you're not there. Work with your doctor, because the medications and lifestyle changes that bring those numbers down don't just protect your heart, they protect your mind. Number 7, keep learning and mean it. Your brain is not static. It is constantly rewiring itself based on what you demand of it. This concept, neuroplasticity, means that learning genuinely new skills creates new neural pathways, builds what researchers call cognitive reserve, and gives your brain backup routes if some connections begin to fail. The key word is new. Doing a crossword puzzle you've been doing for 20 years is not enough. Learning a new language, picking up an instrument, taking a course on something that genuinely challenges you. That's what builds reserve. One study found that bilingual adults developed Alzheimer's symptoms an average of 4 to 5 years later than monolingual adults, even when their brains showed the same level of physical damage at autopsy. The brain can compensate, but only if you've built something to compensate with. Here's what I need you to take away from this. Dementia is not inevitable. It is not simply something that happens to unlucky families. Half of all dementia cases, nearly half, are linked to risk factors that are in your control right now. Sleep 7 hours. Move your body with both cardio and strength. Eat to protect your brain. Stay connected to people. Get your hearing tested. Know your blood pressure and blood sugar. And keep learning things that genuinely challenge you. None of this is revolutionary, but the research is now undeniable, and the people who act on it are the ones who stay sharp. The window is open. What you do next is up to you.